Hey, good morning, everyone. How's it going? So what am I working on now? Well, I got this Chevy Express van. I didn't make a video on it when it first came in. I looked at it, and it came in for a no start, and then the snowball started going down the hill, and I realized there was way more to this story than I was getting. Let me show you what I got. It's a 2500 series with a 4.8. I got my scanner in my hand here. Let me get the door open. So actually, let me shut my light off. Now, you come inside. That's the first thing I saw. You notice down inside that little shelf looking thing there. See that? All the metal filings. All the metal filings on the floor. All right, so this thing's an 07. So I saw all that. The plastic cover for the cluster's all busted up too. So it's like whoever worked on this thing just really, I thought maybe somebody had tried to steal it, and I wasn't sure. Called the customer, said, "What's going on here?" Well, it turned out it wouldn't start. And obviously, I make YouTube videos. You guys have figured that out. I watch YouTube videos. We all watch YouTube videos. Especially when we don't know something. I like to try to put out something that people can use and trust. That's a big thing. This guy went online and for some reason found that it's possible that the ignition key was no good. So you got to change the ignition key. Okay, well, there's a little more to that than just that. Then he looked up and found out how to drill out the ignition lock cylinder. Well, if you have a key that'll turn, it cranked, it wouldn't start. That's the thing. If you have a key that'll turn, if you have a car that's cranking, and you need to replace the lock cylinder, you don't have to drill anything out. You can get it out relatively easy. Once you have it turning. This guy obviously didn't know that. And he thought he knew what he was doing. So he drilled the lock cylinder out for no reason. I don't know what ensued from there. He told me that he broke this housing, and I could see the housing's new. I'll show you. He said he drilling it out, he broke that. Okay. Well, he also broke, this is for like the key in chime, saying, hey, you got the key in the ignition. But now, when I got to the truck, it would crank, it wouldn't start. Hook my scanner up to it, and one thing I noticed is on the upper corner here is a security light. It was flashing when I was trying to start it. It would crank, but it wouldn't start. Let me see if I can start it right now. Okay, starts and running security lights out. Okay, let me explain what's going on here. So, I'm like, well, this vehicle doesn't have a chip key. So what's going on here? Like, I'm not quite sure what, I believe it's all self-induced here. Like, why wouldn't it start? I don't know. I will never know the actual reason for what's going on here. But this vehicle does not have security like a chip key type situation. So even if he thought it was a chip key, I don't know. I have no clue. But the security light was flashing, so I checked, and it had the security code was incorrect. Okay. So there's a procedure. And let me hook, I was using my Snap-on scanner. Let me hook up this scanner because I want to see where it shows up here. And I can explain to you how it's done. Now, this doesn't bypass the security system, but it puts it into a learn mode. And once it's in a learn mode, let me get this hooked up. Hang on. Once it's in a learn mode, there's a procedure where you let it sit for a certain amount of time with the key on. Make sure you got a booster pack on it or a battery charger or something, because otherwise you will kill the battery and you'll ruin everything. And low battery voltage will wreak havoc on things. So I had a booster pack on it, and I went through the procedure to have it do its self-learn. And it did its self-learn, and it said on my Snap-on scanner, it showed fuel cutoff, like due to security or something like that. Yes. And then it showed invalid key or whatever. Yes. And then after doing the security learn, all of a sudden it went to invalid key, no. And then once you cycled the key, the fuel cutoff due to security went to no, which means it should have started. But as soon as I went to go crank it, it immediately went back. So I'm like, what the heck's going on here? So I tried it several times, wouldn't work. So I'm like, all right, something else is going on here. I don't have time to mess with this thing. We have a locksmith guy who is around in the area all the time. He's extremely good with security systems on these things. So he stopped by. When he stopped by, he put the key in, it started right up. I don't know. So just food for thought. If your security system's acting up, don't put a drill to it and try to like drill open your steering column. I mean, whatever. The guy created more problems than it's worth. Why it wouldn't start initially, couldn't tell you. Absolutely couldn't tell you. All right, let me go through the scanner instead of walking you through everything. Let me get to that point, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here under data, you have vehicle. This is for the PCM, for the engine. It's not located anywhere else on this, although there is a theft module or theft portion of the body control module, and I believe that's what sends the initial signal. But you have vehicle theft deterrent auto learn timer. That's what I'm talking about. And fuel disable. Okay, so we're going to go here. Okay. This is just set up slightly different than my Snap-on. I'm so used to my Snap-on. I'm learning this. This scanner is pretty darn good. I will give it that. It's slower, but it's pretty darn good, especially for the price. All right, so learn timer is inactive, so that means that's all good. Nothing to worry about there. Theft deterrent fuel disable is inactive, so meaning it's not in theft mode. Vehicle theft fuel disable until ignition off. No. So everything there is good. And like I said, this was showing active before, and this was showing yes. So like I said, I did, while you have the key on, and like I said, it's supposed to be a minimum of 10 minutes. Sometimes it's like 17 minutes or even 25 minutes. You let this go and let it sit there with the key on, then eventually, see how this just changes? The auto learn timer inactive, it just switched over. It doesn't matter because the car's running fine. There's no issues there. And as you can see, the security light isn't on. The check gauges light is on because it's got codes for the coolant temp sensor being no good. Which either the sensor, the wiring popped off or something along those lines. I got to find out if he wants me to fix that. Got to find out if he wants me to fix any of this mess. But yeah, so I guess, because I had done it 3 separate times, but I could never get it to start. And then when the guy came over, the locksmith, he was able to get it to start, no issue. He started right up. He basically came in and left. So it's just interesting. I wish I was here for that. I happened to not be here when the locksmith showed up, but it is what it is. So there you go, vehicle theft security timer. You know, what are you going to do? But yeah, it's why it wouldn't start initially. I have no idea. I don't know. Since it has no coolant temp sensor. Actually, let me read what it's showing. Let me read what it's showing there. Let's go back to engine data. Engine coolant temperature sensor. Now you got to remember, these are called PIDs. The more PIDs you have, like the more data available to you, it takes longer for it to like select that one to go there. So see that? Okay, 38.2 degrees. Here's my thought behind the whole it won't start. The coolant temperature reading that low, the PCM was thinking it was flooded. So initially, I believe, or not that it was thinking it was flooded, it was thinking it was that cold and it flooded the motor. You know, it overfueled it. I got a funny feeling that's what happened. Because right now we have temperature swings of where it's, 85 in the afternoon and it's 32 when you wake up in the morning. And I showed you with the Toyota that wouldn't start that time. When you get temperature swings like that, you have a tendency to get a vehicle that'll flood out, especially if the tune-up's not great. I got a funny feeling that's what happened with this. I have no proof though, unfortunately. So what do you do at this point in time? Who knows? So I'm going to take this thing for a road test, just make sure everything feels good, and we're going to go from there. All right, let me go for a road test first, and then we'll just button this up. All right, I am not driving this van. I'm not taking a chance with this thing. The steering is so messed up. I'm just trying to pull it out of the parking space. I'm like, nope. Oh, let me show you something that's going on here. I don't know what's going on here. But it's like it's jamming up. It's almost like the U-joint in the steering column is messed up. I don't know how in the world this guy was driving this thing. I wouldn't drive this thing. I'm not taking it out of the parking lot. Okay, you heard the brakes there? No, that's probably just from wetness on the see all the dew on the windows and stuff? That's probably just from wetness on the rotors. That noise will go away once you go down the street a little bit. I'm not driving this, not like this. No way. If he wants me to look at it, I'll look at it. Otherwise, I am not driving this thing. I'm going to recommend he actually tows it out of here if he doesn't want me to fix it. And I'll actually write that on a repair order. But that's up to him. This car is not safe. Not like that. There is something wicked wrong in that steering. So, all right. Well, hopefully you got something out of that. If you did, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.